Video games are such an extensive industry these days that most combinations of genre have already been made, and it's becoming increasingly important that they stand out by subverting the audience's expectations. That's what happened to me the first time that I played Heart Machine's Hyperlight Drifter. You see, chiptune and retro pixel art games have slowly developed a relationship over the years. The two have become synonymous with each other, and it is only expected that I'd assume a game with retro pixel graphics would use a chiptune soundtrack. For those unaware, chiptune is a genre of music which emulates the limitations and style pushed upon composers by the sound chips of handheld games consoles. Chips would limit the composer to only 3 or 4 channels of audio at a time, and the most primitive chips would force these to be simple square or noise waves. The nostalgia of these tracks are designed to perfectly mirror the nostalgia of the visual style. You can see this relationship within games like Celeste, Eastward, and Undertale. Yet every so often, a video game plays with this relationship and uses it not as a genre, but as a backbone to provide opportunity to explore other musical ideas. In Hyperlight Drifter, composer Disasterpeace fuses his love of chiptune with his love of 19th century impressionist piano compositions. You don't need to look any further than the trailer to see this in action. What starts out as a solo piano piece slowly introduces synthesized sounds and ends in a fluttery chaos of synthetic noise. This was completely different to anything I had ever heard before. I saw pixel art and I expected synths. Now granted, these do arrive eventually, but the choice to start the trailer with solo piano instantly told me that this game was going to be a little bit different. This fusion serves 2 purposes. Humans associate different instruments with different moods. Brass might be proud, strings might be dramatic. Piano is sad. It tells us that this is a game which will make us think, make us feel. The other purpose is that it combines something old with something new, much like Hyperlight Drifter. Hyperlight Drifter pairs older Metroidvania concepts with the newer genre of Souls-likes to create an interesting hybrid of the two. The same can be said about piano and synthesis and their role within the soundtrack. My time as a sound designer and composer have helped me realise the trend within indie games. Every brief asks for something sonically unusual or innovative. This is a wider trend in the industry way beyond my experiences. Look at games that use rarely explored genres like Cuphead's ragtime jazz soundtrack. Or the idea to focus on instruments which rarely play the main part, such as the heavy use of cello within Journey. Now granted, there are some games which don't fit this trend. Hollow Knight has a beautifully haunting string soundtrack. Its selling point is that it's simply perfect and matches the loneliness of the game. But as a whole, every indie game strives to be unique with its music or sound choices. Sea of Stars is another great example. For the most part, it has a soundtrack heavily inspired by chiptune and Zelda sound fonts. But at one point in the game, you get hit by this absolute scorcher of a guitar solo. After all, despite often trying to force themselves to fit the restrictions of older sound chips for nostalgia's sake, composers can technically just ignore them whenever they want to great effect. Tunic is another prime example of subverting expectations within game soundtracks. With no prior knowledge of this game, you'd see a Zelda clone and expect old Nintendo sound fonts. Yet instead, it aligns itself more with Hyperlight Drifter by smothering you with reverb-washed synthetic pads and analog bass lines. Instead of making you feel cozy and nostalgic, it screams at you and tells you to expect something new and innovative. Disco Elysium often uses filters to make songs feel diegetic. Diegetic sounds are sounds audible within the world of the game. A lot of the tracks within this game feel like they're coming from a tannoy system or an old car stereo. This not only creates something nostalgic, but immersive for the player. Coming back to Hyperlight Drifter, this game taught me that games are art and should be treated as such. I wasn't a huge fan of the gameplay, but I kept getting pulled back to it. Something about the art and sound combined created a safe moment in my days, almost like a Souls-like bonfire. I fell in love with synth music due to this game. I fell in love with impressionist piano due to this game. And as a composer, never again will I create something ordinary because of this game.